Hey everybody, GCurse here. Hope you're all having a great night. It is. Well, let me just make sure everything is okay. Okay, looks good. It is 8:02 on May the 27th, 2019. It is Memorial Day. I was going through some of the recordings from the Unsolved Mysteries box set that I have. Yeah, I was one of the lucky ones that got the full box set. And I came across a case that I remember from when I was really young. To be honest, I think this has to be in the top 5 of my most favorite cases. The case that I will be talking and giving my commentary tonight is the infamous Tallman ghost. Dun dun dun. If you aren't aware of the Tallman ghost, it's basically a family that was supposed to have came in contact with. They bought a bunk bed, and it's believed that the bunk bed is haunted. It isn't so much the haunting that scared me; it was the real old school graphics that they used for this video. That's what I constantly remember. It's the graphics, and you'll see what I'm talking about and everything. So let's get started, shall we?
In early February of 1987, Alan and Debbie Tallman brought home a bunk bed they had purchased at a second-hand furniture shop.
You got that, partner?
They assembled the bed and stored it in their basement.
Okay, now that's something I don't get. Why would they construct the bunk bed and keep it in the basement? Like if you buy a bunk bed, you're gonna want to use it. Why store it in the basement? I can never understand that. Excuse me.
When the bunk bed was moved upstairs, it marked the beginning of 9 months of horror for the Tallmans. From the moment the bed was first slept in, the house appeared to be haunted by spirits that terrorized first the children, then the entire family.
I don't know what it is. I think it's just because that this was in one of the first few early seasons of Unsolved Mysteries. It just has that eeriness to it. It's like it's all roughly produced and everything. It really fits the 80s, if I remember correctly, that when this episode was produced,
Getting so big for Daddy.
I was afraid for my life. I also was very afraid for my family. I had visions of coming home from work and actually seeing my family destroyed, brutally murdered, or just laying there dead.
Can you imagine what that poor guy was thinking? Like how you would dread coming home because of what you could see. I think it would destroy me if I came home and I would see my remaining family just dead. Like how do you deal with shit like that? It's something I get. I'll be honest. I dread coming home one day and finding my last remaining family, dead. I just dread that, to be honest, because she is getting up there in age. And I understand, part of me understands that death is a natural part of life, like it's the end of life. But still, something just scares the hell out of me,
The house where the Tallmans lived had no known history of hauntings, and the Tallmans had never in their lives given ghosts a second thought. They are regular churchgoers. Debbie is a housewife and mother, and Alan is shift supervisor in a manufacturing plant. They are credible and responsible citizens, but their paranormal experiences have left them deeply scarred. They ask that actors portray them in this story and that their children's real names not be used. The Tallmans feel they were in a battle with forces they do not understand, a battle they were destined to lose.
That's ultimately what kind of, it's like, how do you fight something you can't even see? It's like that's the ultimate disadvantage, you know. And you know, normally you see these cases when it's basically men or human against ghosts. It's always going to be the ghost that wins because how do you fight something like that?
Orican, Wisconsin is a small farming town of 3,800 people. It is a safe and prosperous place, hardly the spot one would expect to have a terrifying encounter with the supernatural.
Why? Why? So let me get this straight. Only poor people in big cities can have ghosts. Why is it that these little rural areas can't have ghosts? I don't understand that whole sentiment at all. You know, like in my opinion, any place can be haunted.
All the scenes that we recreated were filmed in this house, the very place where the Tallmans had their uncanny meeting with the world of spirits. The Tallman family moved into the house on
Okay, little known fact: the car you see in this video here, this yellow one, my mother actually had a car like that when I was younger. The only difference was that it was brown and the back part of the roof was white. It was like a vinyl top, but the back it was just the back part. Oh, that was a nice car. Powered windows. Oh, I miss that car so much. That car could destroy these pathetic excuses of cars that we have nowadays.
April 13th, 1986.
Well, yeah, it was our dream house because, you know, it was something that we figured we were going to be there for a long time, you know, and it was a dream house.
Are you feeling any better?
Within weeks, the Tallman children, who had rarely been sick, began to fall ill.
Can you just put that in there just a little bit longer, honey?
After we moved into the house, it seemed like our children were sick all the time. We had them into the doctor's office. Sometimes I would have all three of them in a week.
In late May of 1987, Debbie and Alan moved the bunk bed they had bought upstairs.
Okay, so why did they not construct it upstairs? You know, like, were they trying to get rid of the beds that were currently up there? If that's the case, why did you get the bunk beds before you could get rid of the other beds? I mean, I just don't understand that whole logic, of buying the bunk beds and then keeping them downstairs. Or in the basement. I just do not understand that. If you know why they did that, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below.
That night, the Tallman's son Danny was sleeping in the room next door to the bunk bed.
Fishing, okay? Good. Have a good night.
Okay.
The bedrooms had been rearranged, and Danny had inherited his parents' old clock radio. On this night,
Oh God, that brings I know you won't believe me if I tell you, but you will not believe what I do. Every night, I'm the type of person that needs to have something to listen to, some kind of noise to help me go to sleep. Well, on my tablet I have next to my bed, I have it's a local radio station's app. It's been that radio station's been here forever, but they recently got a digital app where you can listen to the radio over like a digital device, like a cell phone or a tablet. Well, I have a Bluetooth speaker, and every night I turn that Bluetooth speaker on, I turn on the app, and I go to sleep listening to the radio. So it reminds me of this kid when, like how he had this little radio next to his bed. It reminds me so much of myself.
the radio seemed to take on a life of its own.
My son, he came running out in the living room, and he says, "But Mom and Dad," he says, "I seen it, the dial moved." He said the indicator went from one side to the radio to the other. And we kind of looked at each other and says, "Well, if you're going to have a fit with the radio and cause this kind of ruckus, we'll just take the radio out, because that stuff just does not happen."
boy, would that father turn out to be, fucking wrong. It's like, it always seems to be the ones that don't believe in ghosts and shit that seem to get hit the hardest. Granted, I'm not saying what these kids went through was nothing, to balk about, but holy shit, the ghosts really nail the father. I guess that's what happens when you don't believe in ghosts. They're really going to make them known to you.
A few weeks later, Alan Tallman himself had an experience he could not explain. He was busy painting the walls in his basement, but decided to take a break.
My wife called me up for dinner, so I just laid the brush, and I was going to return after I ate my lunch. And after dinner time was over, I went downstairs, down cellar. And the brush was in the paint pail with the bristles sticking up right in the paint pail.
Okay, he had, I think I wasn't really paying attention just now, but I think they said lunch, maybe dinner. He has to use your fucking sense of your logic. How would that happen? I don't think his kids were there at the time. So how could this have happened? What, did raccoons come into your basement and decide that they're gonna fuck you up and put your paintbrush in the paint? No, it was ghosts. Sometimes I always wonder how people could be so dense when it comes to the paranormal.
Figured there was something strange why this happened, why the brush got into the paint pail, but I wouldn't accept that my house was haunted.
Go with eyes.
The Tallman's 2-year-old daughter was sleeping in the bunk bed. She began to see things in her room.
At one time, my daughter had talked about a witch behind her door, and the fire. A lot of it was fire, and we had never mentioned it to our son at all. And then I'd say probably about a month later, he had said, "Mom, I saw an old lady standing by my door." And he said that she glowed like fire. At this point, I began to think that our house was probably haunted.
Sit down. Let's talk all this out here.
The Tallmans were desperate. They turned to their family pastor. He felt the presence of evil in the house and thought they might be the victims of the devil.
I'd known them about a year and a half when they called me to come and visit with them about what was going on in the house.
Is this normal? I mean,
I believe that my initial analysis of the entity being in the spiritual realm, the occult realm, the demonic, if you will, was accurate. And I still believe it's accurate.
The Tallmans claim they never had a moment's peace. Doors banged open and shut. Strange voices called to them.
Mom?
The visions persisted. The children were terrorized.
Can you imagine what these poor kids are thinking? They don't have a concept of ghosts. All I know is that they're seeing scary stuff. I'm pretty sure that would scare any. That would scare any kid. Especially if you see a haggard old witch behind a door and fire and stuff. Holy shit! It's like, how do you deal with that? How do you try to explain to your children about ghosts and stuff?
Mom, I don't want.
The week before Christmas, Danny once again saw something that horrified him.
It's okay. Nobody's here. You're okay.
I've done everything that I can.
Alan had reached his breaking point. He totally lost control and challenged the entity.
I was like a wild man running around in my house, and I couldn't get no control over it.
Come out of there! Show yourself to me!
I remember my mom watching this with me when it first aired on television, and I actually remember her saying that he made a big mistake by doing this because it's like he was challenging the ghost. And you don't want to challenge something you cannot fight or even comprehend, because you'll lose. And that's what happened with this family, because I'm pretty sure you already know how that the family ended up moving. That's a spoiler if you haven't watched it, but anyway. But he made a major mistake when he started challenging the ghost. It just really, in my opinion, amplified the activity in this house.
I started yelling on the top of my voice. I said, "What's ever in our house, would you please leave my children alone? And if you want to fight, fight with me."
Okay, this music, like this is what I was talking about. There's just something about this episode that makes me uneasy when I watch it. I'm fucking 37 and I still get goosebumps when I watch this video. Hold on, is my little picture up here? Yeah, it is. Okay, good. Okay, hold on, back there. It's just a combination of everything. But it starts off with this fucking music that it just, I hear it and I start getting queasy, and I get right now to set the ambiance. Right now, I have like one little light on in this room. It's a little light that goes around the clock. It's a blue light, but it's getting dark in this room. I'm hearing this fucking music and I'm starting to get like nervous and shit, you know.
3 weeks later, on January the 7th, Alan Tallman returned home from working the late shift around 2 a.m. Outside the garage, he heard an eerie, howling sound. He went to investigate.
It started out real soft, and then it got real loud. It was a real strong howling of wind, but it was quiet outside.
Okay, I just gotta take a second here to gather myself, because I'm getting fucking nervous, and I've seen this case so many fucking times, but it still doesn't change it. You know, like I still get nervous from hearing this, and I get scared. You know, I can watch Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, all these horror movies, but there's just something about, you know, early unsolved mysteries, you know, cases, especially the ghost cases. It just makes my stomach start feeling ill and stuff, you know.
And a voice came out of the howling, and it says, "Come here." I ran around the sides of the house looking to see if anybody was there. Hello? And I couldn't.
I like that. Hello? I could not believe that. It's like, what would you do if you got home at 2 a.m., you start hearing howling sounds, you then hear a voice that says, "Come here"? Would you honestly, go to the back of the house to see what it was? Me, I would not do that, man. I'd be too fucking scared. I need like a flashlight and all that stuff before I'd even be brave enough to, you know, go and see what it is. But I don't know what it is. It's just, you know, and the guy saying, "Hello?" It just adds to the ambiance of this video. He nailed it when he said that, you know.
Didn't see nothing. So I went back to the house steps, and the vacuum of the wind started up again. It started out real soft, and it got real loud. And the voice said, "Come here," and it just kept on saying, "Come here, come here." And I focused onto the garage door, and I seen a glow.
Okay, this motherfucking shit right here, this scared the shit out of me when I was first younger and I saw this. This has to be early CGI, or it could be, you know, practical effects, you know, where they copied the you know, built a duplicate of the garage and set it on fire. But I don't know what it is. It's just the way that the flames look in this video. It just seems so ominous. Oh God, oh, my stomach.
And I run. I got scared and I ran. And I ran to the house, and I opened the door, and I set my lunch pail on the floor. I locked the door, and I stood there for a brief couple of seconds, and I says, "Oh my God, my garage is on fire." And I ran back out on the porch, and I looked towards the garage, and there was nothing.
Okay, if that happened to me, I would start. I would really, I'll be honest. I think I would start having a mental breakdown. These ghosts are playing such a mind fuck with me. Like, you're seeing things. And the thing is, it sounds like this guy couldn't even distinguish real from fake. Like, it's like the ghosts were so in control of the situation that they had the guy literally believing that he was witnessing his garage being on fire. Oh, this is some upper level demon shit going on here, man.
The garage was just as normal as was when I came home from work. So I quick went back in the house and I closed the door and deadbolted the door and locked the door. After I had the door locked, I reached down to pick up my lunch pail, and this thing hurtled it. Right.
This is why you don't fucking challenge a ghost. This shit is becoming fucking physical. It grabbed the guy's lunchbox and threw it out of his own grip. This is some shit that, like, granted, like, oh god, what was it called? The Black Hope Curse. The Black Hope Curse was pretty damn violent. It ended up leading to the death of people. This is pretty close up there. Like, oh man, he should not have challenged those ghosts.
Right through the living room.
He came home that night and he was just running around the room. I mean, literally running. He ran in the bedroom, ran around the bed, ran over to the dresser, threw his keys up on the dresser. I've never seen him like that before.
Alan Tallman began sleeping on the floor of his daughter's room each night. The girls were traumatized and needed help falling asleep.
I started to see this fog starting to appear on the floor, and a voice came out of it, and it says, "You're dead."
Ugh, just being told that you're dead. How would you, I know I said that already, but how do you deal with shit like that? What would you do? What would you do if you were laying on the floor of your kid's bedroom and this fog comes in and then you hear a voice that says, "You're dead. You're dead." I mean, how would you deal with something like that?
When he came out of the bedroom, he wouldn't talk to me. His lips were blue. He was so white, I tried to get him to tell me what happened, but all he did was stand there, and tears were running out of his eyes. And so I went to the phone and I called the pastor and I said, "You've got to come over here." I said, "Something happened and Alan's crying." I said, "And he won't tell me what happened."
When I arrived, Alan was very frightened. He was shaking. He was visibly shaken at what he had seen. Alan gave me no indication at all that he was in any way fabricating what he was telling me. And my sense of that was...
Why would he fabricate it? I mean, this guy's going through hell and there's people corroborate it. I don't think he'd be faking it,
was heightened by the fact that I've been with people before who had described things similar to what Alan was describing. And his fear and terror at what he had seen was very similar to what I had seen before.
A few days later, Alan was working late. He asked a relative of his to watch over the two girls until they fell asleep. Alan's relative was a complete skeptic. That night, he changed his mind. The same specter appeared.
What is it?
The relative came out of the bedroom and I said, "What happened?" And he was scared. I said, "Where's the baby?" He goes, "Back in the bedroom." I said, "Get her." I said, "We are leaving this house." I said, "I am never coming back to this house." I said, "I don't care." I said, "I have had it. I can't handle this no more."
We're going!
That night, Debbie fled from the house she had thought would be her dream home.
Hurry up! Run!
2 weeks after they fled their home, Alan and Debbie Tallman had the bunk bed destroyed.
Well, there goes at least $200 down the drain.
After we left the house, everybody asked us, can this follow you? I never thought it could happen the first time. So I don't know if this is the end of the story.
The Tallmans have moved to another city now, and so far they've experienced no paranormal phenomena. A new family moved into the Tallmans' house last April, and they've had no problems. Perhaps in the world of spirits, as well as in the world of human beings, it is possible simply to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, God, that fucking... I'm not sure if it's just me, but I get, like, emotionally drained when I watch that video because of, you know, or that case, because of what, you know, like, nobody should have to go through shit like that. Okay, but if you're new to the series of videos that I make, this is now the part when I go to the Unsolved Mysteries Wiki, and I look up these cases to see if there's been any updates. I'd really love to see, you know, if there's been any studies done about this case. So let's take a look, shall we? Tallman House. Okay, let's see here. The case file is Tallman House. Location is Horicon, Wisconsin. Date was May 87 to January of 88. Not even a full year. This ghost was able to chase these people out of their own home within less than a year. The Tallman house is depicted as a one-floor suburban home. It is unknown if the house in the clip was actually the Tallman's former residence. Okay, we all know the history. Okay, background. The house that the Tallmans lived in had no apparent history of hauntings. Horicon, Wisconsin is a small farming town of just 3,800. It is considered a safe and prosperous place. The Tallmans moved into their house on April 13th of 86. Wait a minute. Okay, maybe 87 was when they got the bunk bed. Okay, so maybe they were there for longer than, 1 year. Investigations. The Tallman's family pastor, Wayne Dobritz, visited them shortly after the hauntings began. He believed that they were the victims of the devil. You know, that would pretty much explain it. You know, like I said, this is some demon level shit we're dealing with. He was certain that the demonic presence was in their home. He found no evidence that they were fabricating the incidents. Extra notes. The case was featured as part of a Halloween special that aired on October 26, 1988. Like I said, this was like early, Unsolved Mysteries, cases. The Tallmans were beset by unwanted attention as a result of earlier ghost hysteria, which they did not seek. They had turned down a lucrative tabloid offer about their experience as they did not think it right to make any money off their children's misfortune, which is, it's true, you shouldn't, The Tallmans agreed to share their story with Unsolved Mysteries under 3 conditions: that they were censored during the interview, their children's names were to be protected by aliases, and all reenactments of their experiences be done by actors playing the Tallman family. The Tallman house activity was described in greater extent in the book Haunted America by Michael Norman and Beth Scott. But at no time in their research do they link the hauntings to a bunk bed. The activity is instead linked to the property as being located on or near former Native American burial grounds. Now, I wonder, that could make sense about the howling he heard, because it sounded like it could have been a wolf, and wolves are indicative to Native American legends and stuff. This is considered one of the most frightening and well-known paranormal cases of the series. See, I told you that this fucking case, it scares the shit out of me, and it says it's the most frightening. I agree. Okay, and then they have some links. Was the Tallman house haunted? Tracking down the haunted Tallman house, and a set of haunted backbends was constantly traveling from their home. But that was the case of the Tallman house. Like I said, it's on the top 5 of my most favorites easily. It's this one, the St. James Hotel. Oh, what else is there? St. James Hotel, Tallman House. Oh my God, there's so many. But paranormal cases alone, those are definitely 2 of the most, my most favorite ghost cases. What do you think about this case? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. It never hurts, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But do you believe that the bunk beds led to the haunting? Do you think the house was haunted? Do you think it could have been Native Americans? Do you even believe in ghosts? I love to hear what you guys have to say. And that is pretty much the end of tonight's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. On one final note, I am trying to spruce up my videos. So I have made a credits video. You don't have to watch it, but this is the first episode I'm gonna be using this in, so let's see how it turns out. Until next time, everyone, take it easy and have a safe night out there.